Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for being with us today. I just want to make a quick little sort of introduction and then move to the real experts in the room for the content of the presentation today and the interactive activity and all of that. My name is Yamini. I go by she, her. They works just fine for me too. And I'm the program manager at East Bay Getting to Zero. And I'll just say a couple words about why we're doing this today. Part of our work, we were asked to, within the last couple years, really turn our attention towards community messaging and really building our organizations to be able to do that for themselves as well. And so one thing we were able to do was connect with Get Social with Tasia, which you'll hear about from Tasia, and partner with them as a digital marketing consultant whose heart and mind is really where ours is at around social justice issues, and to really work on learning what communication looks like in our field, how to get our message out there in a variety of ways. And so all the things we've learned in the last couple months and continue to learn every day in partnership with them, we thought it was time to go ahead and turn that around and share out with other organizations the things that we're learning, the ways that we're moving, and how we can all do that together. Generally speaking, some other things coming up from us in our community messaging work at Getting to Zero, we're going to be, we did a merch drop a couple months ago. Some of you may be aware, we did the East Bay Summer sort of mini campaign. We've got some more stuff coming up. We're putting at least 2 to 3 murals up around the East Bay, hopefully gifts to the community that will keep on giving in terms of love and appreciation and messaging around resilience and healthy living. And more merch drops to come. We're working on a Spanish language only one, so look out for that. And with that, I will hand right over to Tasia to introduce maybe yourself and then the presentation.
Thank you so much, Yamini. And I want to really thank everyone so much for joining this workshop. I think it'll be very impactful. And a little bit about my agency and what we do. I also have Sagan Solomon on here, who is one of our amazing social media coordinators at Get Social. And what we're planning to do today is really talk through what organizations need to be as present as possible on social media. A little bit of the history of my agency. We are a social justice, social impact, and political awareness agency, social media strictly, and a little bit of digital marketing. We have been open just over a year, and we are women of color only. And we have worked with East Bay Getting to Zero just this year, but we have been breaking a lot of kind of ground with them, as well as other organizations, dating back to Schools Not Prisons, if you guys are aware of that hashtag, as well as Rock the Vote and plenty of others. So we can jump straight into it right after Sagan introduces herself a little bit too.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sagan. I'm currently living in New York. I'm originally from San Francisco. I am a social media coordinator at Getting Social with Tasia. And I've been working alongside with her for a few months with East Bay Getting to Zero, and we're super happy to go through this with you guys.
Perfect. So here you'll see just a general overview of everything we're going to go through today. I won't waste any of our time going through each one because this is literally just a bullet point of what we'll be doing and going over. So I hope you guys are ready. So first, what we're going to talk about are what channels are essential to building awareness for your campaign and your organization. So here we have all of the important components to what social media needs. Twitter, which is a text-based app that supports photos and videos, great for finding articles and learning what is happening in real time. This is also where you say plugged in and connected. We'll go over a slide next, just digging in deep into each of these platforms as well. Instagram is a photo and now video-based app for finding art that relates to your organization, resharing posts from other orgs in your network, whether it's a quick share to stories or posting onto your grid. Facebook, this platform is based to build community and plan events, connecting with like-minded people that are interested in the same topics that you are in. TikTok, which is kind of why we're here, a video sharing platform that supports short format concepts and mixes in influencer culture heavily, as we've seen. Snapchat is also a video sharing platform that is more user to user based, not necessarily for organizations, but more to connect directly from people to other people. YouTube, which we're very all familiar with, is a long form video sharing platform that services all industries and helps with searchable content via their search engine. The big question is, what do all of these have in common? Anybody care to jump in the chat? We're looking. All can have followers. Christian is right, all video, which is something that I think a lot of people are forgetting about where social media is going. We are in a video-based kind of segment of life, and especially where social media has gone. When we first got Instagram, it was only a photo sharing app. Twitter was not great on videos, and now all of these components are heavy video, going live, etc., and long formatting a lot of this content. So let's go to the next slide.
Okay, so what's so great about Twitter? Twitter gets content first. A lot of the things, a lot of memes, trending topics, breaking news. Like for example, for East Bay Getting to Zero, when we saw that clip of the baby talking about HIV positive people dying, we got that content and we created it for not only Twitter, but for Instagram and for Facebook. You'll find a lot of trending topics on Twitter first. And breaking news is just one of those things, like even the Met Gala, all those memes were popping on Twitter first before they made their way to Instagram. Directly links to your needs, also longer videos. One thing I do like about Twitter is instead of having to go to your bio like Instagram when you're sending a direct link, you can just literally click it with the tweet and it takes you directly to what you're signing up for. So for example, like this thing that we're on right now, if I was to send it out on Twitter, I would be able to send it with just the link. But on Instagram, you would have to go to a bio and then into a link tree and then click the event. But for Twitter, you can literally stay on that same application and be able to do all that. Hashtag building, this is where you can best track your hashtag growth and start trending. You can also see other pages that are also hashtagging the same things you are, and that's how you can kind of build your community as well. And then connecting with real people and real opinions and opportunities for engaging. Okay, so why are young people so attracted to TikTok? TikTok is a place where you can trend or go viral by creating dance moves. You can also make fun videos that are informative and create on Instagram as well. So do you really need a TikTok? Yes or no? Anybody feel like they need it? You could say it in the chat. Do you feel like you need a TikTok?
Yep.
Yes, why? Okay, we can get that to later.
Well, I could jump in.
To me,
Sure.
I was gonna say for us, since we're a harm reduction facility, and especially since we're trying to prevent overdose and it's affecting as the youth. So a lot of people, of course, since our population now, it's the youth in TikTok. So it's effectively, we're trying to figure out the best way to tackle that. So TikTok is a great way to effectively reach that type of target population.
So you feel like TikTok reaches the younger crowd more than Instagram or any other platform?
Yes, definitely. Or even Facebook, what my community calls the old, you still have the old app. But yeah.
Okay. So we'll get to that a little bit. We'll dive a little bit more into that. But TikTok content is quick, it's reliable, and it's fun. But Instagram also has that new feature where they're called Reels. So they're very similar to the TikTok videos. And then I feel like for TikTok, it's one of those channels where it's completely different from Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So if you're a small org, running those 4 channels is going to be really, really hard. It's mainly a 2-person job. And people want to see real people and not taking information from brands and organizations. And that's a lot what TikTok is. Best advice is to create videos for Reels and Canva, build on the audience you already have.
And I also want to jump in on that because the point that you brought up is very valid. in the opportunity that you want to create content to get to young people, which is exactly what a lot of us are doing, but it takes a real person to be able to put that information out to get on TikTok. We love those videos where we're seeing a young person or anyone in general front facing, and they're giving the history or giving a deep dive into something. And those organizations don't have that capacity all the time to stay strategic with that type of content. And that's why we also suggest Instagram. You get to keep the same community you have already built and keep on building it. While TikTok is amazing and we do love that, we suggest still getting on there, but making sure that you have someone dedicated, whether it's an intern, a youth community member that is like, yes, I will be posting on TikTok every day, come up with new creative content. Other than that, it's extremely hard to get into it and post once every 2 weeks, etc. Cynthia, go ahead. I see you have a question.
Yeah, no, I wanted to respond to the things that were said. I feel like TikTok is where everything is happening in terms of like getting our youth involved in these really important conversations when they come to like sexual health. And I don't know about the rest of you all, but I'm like one person that does everything, like the grant writing, the communications, like literally I can have like, there could be 3 people in my job. And the idea of like starting a whole nother platform just sounds like so exhausting in a pandemic. And I'm not about to learn any dance moves. So I'm just like, I don't know if y'all go like give other tips, because I'm not going to do the one where you're like with your jaw, like that whole dance move. Like I can't, y'all. Yeah, that one.
And you are not wrong. And even as a social media agency, we have interns that create reels, create all of these different things, but that's exactly why we're here. Do you need a TikTok, or can you find a way to create TikTok content inside the platforms you already have? Most of the time we see all this viral TikTok content happening, coming to Instagram, coming to Twitter, and that's where we're laughing at it. Or getting the information. I don't want to always say laughing, but I do laugh a lot on TikTok. But the realisticness of this is a organization, and like you said, you're already doing multiple jobs and have your hands in so many things. How is it possible to then grow another audience while maintaining these 4 other major channels that your organization absolutely needs? So the way that we find that balance, and even as we're, all the platforms are continuing to grow, Instagram Reels, just how they kind of took over Snapchat, in a few years, it might be all the craze. It might be all of everything that we're fighting for to get over to TikTok. It might come right back to us on Instagram. Go ahead, Nahid.
Hi, everyone. We have a couple of questions and comments in the chat box that I just want to lift up. The first comment that I wanted to lift up was from Manuela, who lifted up that government organizations have been reluctant to start TikToks. But she did share that Sacramento's harm reduction TikTok videos are great. And then we did get a question from Sophia, what kind of approach do you suggest for smaller teams, which I think you were getting to, but I just wanted to lift that up as well.
Yeah, I think what we're getting at definitely is creating a lot of that content inside of Instagram and posting it to Reels, but where do you get that kind of content? Canva will also, which we'll dig deep into in a few slides. Canva really houses all things right now, and they've even gotten an animation. If you look on East Bay Getting to Zero, you'll see that we have some reels that have real people that are formatted in Canva or in a program and used to still educate, to find our ways to still use that component of Instagram while making sure we're still getting the information out, but not necessarily being on TikTok. But it's TikTok formatted content. And a lot of the times what people are looking for within TikTok content is for the educational viral aspect. And what better way to have that same type of base content go viral on Instagram, where most of the people are already. Christian, we'll take your last question, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Go ahead.
It was just a comment. I was just gonna say that, like someone mentioned earlier, without the social media things, it is a little hard to add an extra one. But at the same time, I feel like our attention span has gotten shorter, which is nicer to, pile something in a short video and promote, because a lot of this that we're doing is all outreach, and we're trying to get in that platform to outreach to all ages and more people. And something that I've seen too is that some of the apps are, like crisscross or connected to each other. Sometimes, I log on Instagram and then I end up on TikTok somehow. So I think it's really good to have this tool, and I'm excited for this training.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Okay, next slide.
Hey,
Let's
just
talk
real
about
quick-
the Graham.
Sorry,
ahead.
yeah. Could you just real quick just clarify what Canva is?
Yes, so Canva is a tool that we are going to actually dig into in a few slides. It is a designer tool where if you don't have the capacity for a graphic designer or a creative person on your team, Canva can house everything in terms of creating your brand, getting images out, getting graphics out, as well as now creating videos and animations inside the platform as well. It is the cheaper and alternative to Photoshop, essentially, or Adobe Suite.
And it's available on
Um,
app form and also on web browser. So you can use it on your computer for some of the bigger, more kind of in detailed features, but then you also can make things on the app on your personal private devices.
Yes, and we have a slide on Canva that will dig a little bit deeper, as well as show you what everything looks like too. So let's talk about the grandpa app that everybody loves to forget about, Facebook. Do you still really need a Facebook account? Yes. Facebook is more than grandparents. It's how you build community, even still in today's time. I added in this little prompt for social media for nonprofits, just to show you how much we are encouraged to still use your Facebook community, even though it may seem like just an extra step or an extra content. Letting it live on its own really is the best way to go about it. The best features on Facebook that no one talks about are Facebook groups. That's the best way for community building. And just as we talked about adding on another component of social media and someone manning that, Facebook groups do take a little bit of more manpower, but it's where you can post content and put questions and kind of get feedback from people that are actually in the same genre as you are. If you want to start a Facebook group for people in your community that are trying to defund the police, when that you put content in there, you will get responses, you will get people that are looking for that type of content overall, and a lot more engagement. On the donation tab and fundraising, Facebook is absolutely amazing for raising funds, for connecting with organizations to raise funds, as well as cross promotion in that same aspect, which also tie into Facebook Live and events. When you do go live on Facebook, you'll also be prompted to add a donation tab where people are looking at this, they feel reluctant to donate, and you can take this straight from Facebook into your organization's bank account and still be able to rightfully add it to whatever tax purposes that you need, but it is there for you, which Twitter, TikTok, a lot of these other organizations, these other apps do not have. Centralizing your audience. What I do love about Facebook is that you can target direct people, and that also crosses over to raising awareness through ads. Even when you put out an ad, you can centralize where you want this ad to go to and who you would like to target based on interest, proximity, age, and everything kind of down the list. So it's a great way to really understand how you can kind of grow your audience, but targeting it and growing. Our last tab is event pages, which is definitely one of my favorites. It's the way when you have an event going on, you create a Facebook page, add co-hosts, invite people to it, as well as use it as an ad to promote, to get more people around it to kind of rally behind you and join. So make sure to create your organization profile as a nonprofit page to access these features. And in that, it's as simple as changing the interface on it to look a different certain way, and all of these activations will pop up for donations, for Facebook Live events, and for general events as well. Go ahead, Nahid.
We have a question in the chat asking around tips for increasing engagement on Facebook.
Yeah, so what we'll get to in a few later slides is kind of scheduling apps through Facebook that you can kind of mindlessly keep posting on there. But the great thing about Facebook is that it grows itself essentially. There's definitely different engagement purposes and different ways to continue to boost your content. The main one is commenting. So if you post something, and even if you don't have a viral post, or even if one person comments, commenting back, giving them a high five, giving them a like, elaborating on their questions, that's always going to boost you up in the Facebook algorithm. Something else that's great about Facebook is, if, let's say I make a post from last month and it didn't get any likes, it didn't get any engagement, but one person commented on it today, I comment back, people see it in their feed, people see it in our feed once again, and now it's back in your feed and people are able to comment, share, and find out about it. A lot of times people make fun of Facebook for this matter because they get things a month late, or they're laughing at something Twitter or Instagram laughed at a month ago. But it is the beauty of what Facebook does, is that it'll keep putting it into your feed and into your algorithm, so people can still get that content when it's relevant, when it's needed, or when it's bumped up.
Do you have any
Awesome.
feedback on, or anything to say around Facebook Creator?
Facebook Creator it's how Facebook would like you to stay inside of the app, but traditionally I wouldn't suggest it for scheduling unless you're only doing Facebook. If your organization has Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Facebook Creator only kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for you. And I can explain that when we get to the slide about scheduling, just elaborating on that, because mostly Twitter and Facebook both have their own scheduling and inside studios, but they're just not as productive and as efficient as we would all hope. And they don't speak to each other either.
All right, so how to manage Instagram Plus and Stories. We have a video for you guys. It'll show you how to post to your feed. And we can get into everything else after. I will kind of explain all of these things, but for now, we're just going to show you how we post to our pages and stories. Give me 1 second. Can everyone see this?
When posting to your page, Hey Oracle. When posting to your page, Hey Oracle.
The far right square. The far right square.
The app 5 minutes early for you to review.
Next one, Sagan.
See the post for that day.
Second. There we go. I couldn't see it. All right, here we go.
When posting to your page, Hey Oracle will send you a notification through the app 5 minutes early for you to review. After you swipe it, it'll show you the post for that day, plus the caption. From here, you can scroll through and make sure everything looks good before posting to your IG grid. After that, you'll hit the download button down below and a message will appear. It will remind you to make sure that you're posting to the right account, and also your caption and hashtag has been copied. After checking it's the correct account, you'll hit OK. Even if you aren't in the right Instagram page, it will still copy and save everything until you switch over to the right account. Hey Oracle will then take you to Instagram, and from there you can see your feed. And while you're on your feed, you can then make sure again that you're on the correct page. From there, you're going to click the square box on the top right corner. You now see your gallery with your images. When posting multiple slides, you have to hold down the first image for the other slides to have a circle in the right corner. From there, you can click and place them in order. After placing them in order, you'll then hit next and review your post. I always like to do a quick little scroll just to make sure that all the images are clear and they aren't blurry. And then I hit paste where caption is. This is one of the things I like about Hey Oracle because it saves me so much time. And from here, I make sure all the hashtags are there. I also make sure everything in the caption looks okay. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and show you that if you do have a post, when you're tagging people, You always want to make sure you tag them in the post. Super easy. And then from there, I go ahead and hit share. And then I wait for it to post. I then wait until it's fully loaded. And then from there, I just double check again to make sure everything is there. Caption, hashtags are okay. And then from there, I like to reshare to stories. To reshare to stories, you have to hit the little arrow on the bottom right of the photo. Once you hit that, you'll then see your page that says add post to your story, and then you'll click that. From there, you'll see the post. And then I like to play with the background a little bit. How you would do that is you'll hit the squiggly line. And then on the bottom, you can see all the different colors you could use. So many options, but I chose to go with green. And then I just hold on to it until the whole screen goes green. And then from there, if I have more than one photo or graphic, I like to create like a story for people to see the full post because sometimes they just don't like clicking and going off of a story to go see a post. So I like to include it all in there. But I also still include the original post just in case someone does want to click in there. And from there, I just match the squares, all 4 of them. And then I also like to add the caption inside the story. So like I was saying before, you can literally just copy and paste from the Hey Orca app. And it just makes it easier to post on stories and post for your grid. And then here you can see all the different types of fonts. And then from there, you can also start picking your color. When it's a lot of information, I like to use the box. I feel like it makes it a little bit more easier for people to see. And then, yeah, so like kind of just making it colorful, making it fun to see. Also to always make sure that spelling is correct. Here you'll see I added an arrow just so it wouldn't be any negative space on the story. You also want to make sure the link that you're saying that's in your bio is in your bio. After that, I just like to play with it just a little more, just to make sure everything is aligned. Make sure everything is looking all great for the story. And then I hit share to your story. And then after that, I like to go back to the story just to make sure it's fully uploading. Because sometimes it'll say uploading, and if you go away from the page, it won't fully upload. So I like to wait and see the post-it sign, and then I swipe up so you can see the viewers. Take a second look to make sure everything's okay. And then I leave it there for everyone to see.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Sagan. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen now. And feel free to start asking some questions. I know Sagan's going to go over the rest of these before we get into the questions.
So what you just saw was me posting to the feed and then sharing content to stories. There's now a button for you to have your where all your reels live. Also too, with I'm gonna go all the way at the bottom real quick because it says content profile versus business profile. Always go business. We say that because when you do have a business account, it shows you how many shares you have, how many people saw the post who weren't following you, how many people saved this content that you posted, and then also to those posts that you post on your grid that does really, really well, you'll get a promote to your page, and that's where ads come in. So you can start promoting your graphics. Like if you have an event, you can start sharing that and promoting that on Instagram as well. IGTV is for the longer videos you do have, things that are like 2 minutes plus. So if it's like an event you had or an interview you recorded that you want to live also on your page and not just on your website, they also have another tab for that as well on Instagram. Engagement is really, really important. Just like Tasia was explaining on Facebook, it'll boost your algorithm to the top. More people will see it, even if it's just like someone doing like a heart eye, just like reply with a heart, or just replying to every single comment that you see will up your engagement. Hashtag building. Hashtag building for Instagram lets other people see your posts, and then also too, you can also find content through your hashtags, or you can see your community posting things, or if you like people in your organizations, you'll see like they have an event and you'll see that through a hashtag, and then that's something you can repost and share to stories as well. Highlights is where things that you kind of post to your story that you want to live on your Instagram, but not necessarily post it to your Instagram grid. So for an example, if you were at a partner's event and you were recording, you can put that in a highlight, and it could just be, you know, partner event, the name of the partner and the event, and it could just live on the highlights. It's really cool also too, if you have things that you want them to specifically see on your page, like if you want them going to your website for certain things, you can also have that live on your Instagram highlights as well. Any questions?
I cannot believe there aren't any questions. Okay.
I have questions. So I know that Instagrams are a big deal. I did notice that sometimes whenever I would post, some of the hashtags would not go through or not make it as visible. Is there any tool? I know there's a website where you can find a few hashtags about, you know, certain topics like HIV prevention. But is there anything else or anything like a limit to hashtags or something that would, you know, bring people, you know, closer to the ad or just to make it more visible?
For me,
Absolutely. Go ahead, Sagan.
I feel like clients should have like their own, they should make up their own hashtags to kind of find and find their content, just so it's easier for other people or other partners to find. Hashtags do sometimes get blocked, so it's very important to check it all the time, because sometimes people will be posting crazy things under a certain hashtag, and then you won't even know that it's being blocked. So it's always important to check and see what is trending on that hashtag, and if you're actually able to see it. Go ahead, Tasia.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Sagan. And also going by the hashtag strategy that we like to talk about, which are 10 hashtags in as a limit. Sometimes when you add on too many hashtags, Instagram will flag that as spam or some type of weird content, which I saw a comment of saying, you know, they hadn't been on Instagram in years and it looks completely different, and you have no idea. Back when I started social, it was just like, hey, post, it's in chronological order. You post at 8 a.m. When people get on at 8 a.m., they'll see your post. Now it's like a strategy, a game, how many people will comment, how many people will like it, what hashtag to go in, because you might get shadow banned. It's hectic. Excuse me. And all of these are really great questions because hashtags can hurt you, but they can also help you. And when we come into an organization, we brand the East Bay Getting to Zero hashtag, but just like Sagan said, we find others that are aligned that have like-minded content to also add on to that, and also engaging in those hashtags, commenting like, hey, letting your presence be known. Again, these are multiple jobs that are done inside of the Instagram strategy now. Because who has time all day to be commenting on other posts and making sure that other people see us? But it's what's needed now to really hone in everything that Instagram has to offer.
Thank you. One more question, can I? Sorry. Is there a balance or a percentage between video and photo posting? Just because I know that, you know, TikTok is more video, but how does it work for Instagram? Is it like 70% video and then 30 photo, or both, or what?
It's a great question. And unfortunately, there is no correct answer, because you'll find some platforms like So You Want to Talk About It that is all graphics and they're all getting thousands and thousands of likes, and she never posts a video, but that's a high engagement page. For smaller organizations, I always tell people to mix it up. You have a few posts, that's a regular, you have a graphic, you have a wholesome photo, because these things matter. Graphics are also not the best way to only post on Instagram because those get dinged down in the algorithm. So I always stand by the 4 objectives right now for Instagram: a graphic, a real wholesome photo of someone out in the streets, whether it's a protest image, a group of people, etc. A reel, nothing longer than 30 seconds, really. They have it now for a minute for some pages, but I would suggest 15 to 30 seconds. And last, an IGTV, which is longer than 1 minute, longer format types of videos. There's also regular Instagram videos that are shorter than a minute, but IGTV is also something that they're trying to boost up, because what they have now created are galleries for, now you can only go into Reels and scroll through Reels that is similar to TikTok. And what Instagram does is they essentially leech on to all the other apps that come out, and they try to make it all into Instagram now, so you never leave. Just like I saw a comment, they were like, you can shop in there now too. And it's like, yes, you can. They never want you to leave. Go ahead, Nahid.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. One, when it comes to hashtags, is it best to determine hashtags that are super explicit to the content that you're focusing on? So for example, HIV prevention, HIV, people living with HIV, all these being hashtags? Or would it also be helpful to incorporate hashtags that may not necessarily be explicit to the target audience, but that, or be explicit to the issue, but may be relevant to your target audience?
That's a great question. And it's a mixture of both, because you want to also, while talking to the community that you are aligned with, you also want to branch out and have people find you or adapt to you by hashtags that they're also looking through. A great one to bring in for that is kind of like mental health awareness, or you know, California Health Matters. Those aren't necessarily pointing to HIV and what the mission is at East Bay Getting to Zero, but those are still people that are like-minded in this field that could take that information or interested in that information as well.
Or just like, or like hashtag self-care, just like very general things. The second question was, and I feel like you may get to this later, so let me know, but just best times to post, determining when is the right time to post.
Yes, that is the number one question of probably the last 3 years. And I always suggest a morning post and an afternoon post. Catch people when they're up, heading to work, and in the name of what we're in right now, still laying on the couch, getting ready for work. And one for when they get off of work, as well as driving home or getting home and kind of, defrosting for the day. If you are a very active page, I always suggest a middle of the day post. So my kind of go-to is 8 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m. Those are always the ones that are embedded in my head, where at least you'll catch somebody. But another great thing of the app Hey Orica that we're talking about, which we'll scroll to later, they will, once you start posting after about a month, they will let you know prime time slots for you to post at. So if they see a lot of your posts are getting higher likes at 8 a.m. or maybe at 10 o'clock, and they'll let you know, they'll start starring those for you to let you know to post during these certain times to give you more visibility.
Can I make a quick comment about hashtags? Also too, like if you're adding somebody, or if it's a show, or if it's a song, you always want to add that in the hashtag. Or like for example, if you're highlighting Pose, like let's say Pose, the show on FX, like you want to add that into your hashtag. If you Pose FX, and then you also want to tag them as well, so it's on their, not necessarily on their feed, but it's in their tag photos, so now people can see your post as well. Just always kind of putting what's in there so it connects to the hashtag as well. That makes sense.
Visibility, keyword here. All right, we're moving to the next slide. And we've been talking a lot about hashtags and who we're talking to and what's your audience. Some key things to think about when determining your audience and how to maintain them. This is something very important as well, even thinking about a social media manager, or even if you're taking over the social media strategy for your organization. What type of followers do you want to attract? What region or area are they in? Something I speak to really, really fluently is adapting to the culture and what's going on. If I'm running a page that's based out of the Bay Area, I'm going to add some hellas on the page. I'm going to add some backdrops and some great things that I know what's going on in the Bay Area, as well as what's coming up. If there is Hiro Day coming up, depending on what page it is, if there's things going on in the community that speak to your organization, keeping, tapped in with that, using the term tapped in. All of these things matter when you're trying to build community and speaking directly to them. Even if you are an organization in New York, creating memes, entering kind of those jokes, talking about Tim's, talking about all of these things, Bay Area feel, having a meme about Mac Dre. These are all important when you're growing your audience to keep that momentum going, as well as directly knowing who you're talking to. How do they like to be spoken to? Posting cadence. Are they morning people where they're connecting to your post first thing when they get up? Or are you noticing more people are liking that 8 p.m. post, which are really, really important things to think about. And I know some of us are off the clock. In social media, we never really live off the clock. The other day for the Met Gala, we're looking at the gowns, we're looking at whatever. And even though we work in social justice, you never know when something's going to pop up, like AOC's dress and what she wore. That's a post that is going to go up at 9 p.m. But you wake up the next morning sometime and it has over 1,000 likes. You use the right hashtags, you built the right audience, and it was happening in that moment. Another great opportunity for that are things like the Emmys. It used to be that the Emmys was not really something we even thought about, something we focused on, but in today's time, it's heavily based on people of color and those historic wins that we've been waiting to happen. These are all moments that in building your audience to pay attention to if it's aligned with your mission. Another client that we have is Alliance for Boys and Men of Color in cooperation with PolicyLink. And when Hair Love won last year for the Oscars, that was a really big post for them. It's not something they would usually post about, but it was a young Black man winning an Oscar about a dad and a young Black girl and doing her hair and using her Afro style hair. That's important. Those are messages that you want to adapt to and how people like to be spoke to. And in terms of posting cadence, we kind of went over that. I always go with the 8, 1, or 5 p.m. rule. Not necessarily all three, but at one of those times, you should always think about posting, because now with the algorithm, your 8 a.m. post might not be shown until 6 p.m., depending on what your feed's looking like and how your other posts are performing, which is just like, what? Find where your audience is most active. When you determine the age range, like we say below, that's also going to determine what app do you really need to focus and hone in on. Is it Instagram where I need to spend all my energy? TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, etc. All of those are important components when you are starting to put your energy towards an app, or if you're trying to figure out where the biggest visibility is. And identifying an ideal profile. I always like to make up who is actually interested in this page and who is it for. Age, location, interest, and what stage of life are they in? Whether it's an age range or a location, I think about what people are going through during the pandemic, what age that they're at. Is it about them not getting a stimulus check because they're in college and they're living in a certain area? Or is it that they are the target for COVID and they're experiencing a lot of death around them? All of these stages of life is how you are going to understand talking to your audience. For East Bay Getting to Zero, we've identified a wider range of people and age determination, but we know that most of them are in the Bay Area, which we're also trying to expand because we want this to be more of an HIV awareness and, along those lines of self-care type of page. What interests they have and what stage of life, you can kind of build this by knowing who they are, where they are, etc. And always remember to talk with your audience, not at them. Go ahead, Cynthia.
I just want to say, as someone who's been following the East Bay Getting to Zero page, I've definitely have seen some of these things incorporated, and I've seen a difference in like the hashtags and the images. So it's really cool to see that live. My question is around, I do not have a background in like graphic design. When Canva came out, I was super excited because I felt like it was something that someone who doesn't have that experience can use. Unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, I find these amazing images and I'm often retweeting them, reposting them, but I want to get to a point where I'm creating my own content on Canva. And I take like way too long to like make a little line straight on Canva, something's tilted, like it's just taking up too much time and like feeling like I want to get more comfortable with that. Do you all have any suggestions on that, like classes or something like that?
Yeah, we're actually going to go into Canva in this next slide, and we're going to do a little bit of a workshop building to show you how to make your own post inside of Canva. So I'm so happy you asked for that because it's very true. Because even when you get to Canva, it's like, now what? Go ahead and ask your question. Sorry, I can't see your name.
It's okay, Manuela.
Manuela, there we go.
Thanks. I started following East Bay Getting to Zero on Twitter and on Facebook, and the content posted is amazing. I'm just sad to see that it doesn't have much engagement, and I feel like it has to be so frustrating to create amazing content and get no traction. Like, I don't know. I get frustrated because I see it, and now what do you do as an organization? That's a lot of time invested.
Yeah, so
in content.
And it is time invested. Nothing happens overnight. When we start posting on the page, this is new to people. You'll get unfollows. You'll get people reminded that they're like, why am I following this page anyway? And you'll get people that deter. But what we're trying to do is bring on those people that are interested in this content and that actually need it. The fight with the algorithm is one that frustrates us all. But what the great thing is that when someone does find out about the page and they scroll through, they're still seeing the content and seeing that great content there that they can still refer to, which is the great thing that we love about social media. It's there to stay and not like Snapchat where it disappears and now people have missed out on the opportunity. So also think of it as a reference page.
I would also just say to that, because when we brought Get Social with Tasia onto the East Bay Getting to Zero team, one of the points that we made to them was that we're not necessarily trying to go viral. We're not competing with the content that is made for the entire globe. We have a very specific target audience, not just the Bay Area, not just California, but the East Bay, and specifically thinking about our partners, specifically thinking about, of course, our the clients that you all are that are providing services to. So for us, we're also recognizing that our goal isn't necessarily to get 1 million likes and 1 million comments. Yeah, that'll be cool if some content that we make is also transferable and a good resource for the rest of the country, if not the world. But for us, we also have to like kind of scale down our perspective and not necessarily compare ourselves to national organizations or international platforms.
Great. Thank you for that, Nahid. And we're going to take this time, it says 20-minute, but it might be a little bit of a 10-minute, to go over to Canva, actually talk more about what that looks like and how you can create a post. What we want, go ahead, Nahid. I'm sorry, Yamini.
I just wanted to do 2 housekeeping things before we really dive into the activity. So I'll let you finish the instructions and then I can do that.
Yeah, so we're going to go to canva.com. You should have already made a page or a login beforehand, but it's very easy to sign up. Sign up through Facebook, Google, or log in with Apple, which no one ever does. But you can use all 3 of those. We're going to create an image in Canva that promotes your objective and something that you could possibly use on social media. The things that it must have an image, a text, a call to action, and hopefully a catchy caption to explain more of what the graphic is or what you want to convey. And in doing that, when you get to the when you get inside the app, you'll see the template ideas. You can go to Instagram post. When you go to that, it'll break you out into a new window, and you can type in events and choose from thousands of different event templates. And we're going to simply just change out that type of content, which I'll also share my screen and do that while Yamini does some housekeeping things.
Thank you, Tasia. So real quick, I just want to say 2 things. If you haven't already answered my DM about getting a good email address for you, I have a gift card for you. Please share that with me in the DMs. You could even email me, whatever works. And then the other thing is I have a little feedback form. As I said, this is the first in a series of workshops, trainings that are like interactive and where we're all kind of learning together that we really want to offer for the benefit of our organizations and just our work in general. So it would really help us if you were to give us a little bit of feedback on how to do this well, on what topics to do, et cetera, et cetera. So while you're doing this Canva thing or right before you do it, if you could just click on that link right there that I just popped in the chat and just give a little feedback around this session and future sessions, et cetera.
Awesome. So this is what the inside of Canva looks like. It could be pretty daunting if you don't know and you've never seen this before. But what we're going to do is go straight to Instagram posts. And like I said, it'll open a new window and you'll have a blank canvas. I know there was a comment earlier about like worrying about the lines and spending too much time into it, and that happens. But what we're going to do today is try to make this as simple as possible. Canva has, I want to say, reaching towards the million at this point, different type of templates that you could use. And here's something extremely simple as a business conference. Let's take this. We can swap out the photos for people that you would like to use, switch their names. You can even switch the background color. Let's say you want to keep this look, but you want it to more match your brand colors. What we have here, you'll actually see us and how we have our different brands already labeled in here with their colors that they use. This is a feature that is in the Pro account. This is not accessible for just the free account. But what we've also offered in the next slide is to let you guys know about the nonprofit Pro free account, which is something that a lot of people don't know about, but Canva will offer you a completely free account. The Pro account is $12.99 a month, but they will offer it to you if you are an organization that is creating change and fighting for kind of a better tomorrow. So that's something to really keep in mind. It's as simple as applying. All you have to do is upload a document that you are a verified organization, whether you're a 501c3 or just a regular agency that is doing kind of good in the world. So let's use East Bay Getting to Zero colors. It'll give you their primary colors. There we go. It'll give you the primary colors that you can change it to based on what you already have. So when you have this feature, whatever template you find, it'll automatically change it to your primary colors, and you can now use it in that same type of style to match everything else on your feed. So let's say we're going to use TikTok? Yes or no? This isn't very pretty, but you know, it works right now. And you can fill it out, center it. A lot of questions too about courses, possibly. Canva offers many courses on how to hone in on everything that it offers, especially if you're a nonprofit and you have a pro account. Someone will meet with you one-on-one to show you all the features that you can access, as well as even if you have a regular free account. They still have tutorials, they still have videos on how to work it and how to manage it. You can add pages if you would like to add a slider. If you would like to make this a second one, you can adapt to it, or you can pick a new template to go off of to add to this. I'll let you guys work on some of your images and how to do it, and I'll play around with this in the meantime. Yamini, you go ahead and let me know how we're doing on time. We can make this 10 minutes because I know we are getting down on time.
Real quick too, I also feel like it helps you line up a little bit. So when you're like clicking to type certain things in, it'll help you align with the graphic in Canva.
Absolutely, and that right here is the alignment. And as I said before, Canva is going into a lot more of animation, a lot more video, so you can choose different type of ways to show your title, show what you want to do, make it look really cool with minimal effort, which is what we love about Canva. And again, changing out these images, edit image, and it'll let you upload. You can use stock photos, as well as uploading your own.
Tasia, we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so you don't have to do it. But I wonder if you have an example of like a reel that has been made in Canva.
Oh, absolutely. You guys are getting the Canva Plus in here right now. No worries. So let's take this one. Actually, I know we have some for East Bay Getting to Zero in here. Oh yes, this one's perfect. So even if you have content that has already been created and you would like to create it into some new content for a reel, here's what Canva Pro looks like for video animation. We have our intern come in and make these very branded type of templates that can be used where we basically used old videos that were talking about COVID and added it into, sorry, oops, look at me messing stuff up. Added it into Canva. For some reason, it's not playing, and I don't know why. Usually it plays. Let's choose another one. I'm not sure why it's not playing. Say again, any?
Maybe hit the play with the 24.5 in the top right. Right next to download.
Oh, maybe because I can't see it. All right. Here is a reel that we just made from an Indigenous woman that was on the red carpet at the Met Gala that turned a lot of heads. Again, turning content that may be pop culture into something interesting. And so what we did with this, all you saw was 9 slides that were created as standalones and moved into an animation. So we went in and added on the words, which you can do in edit form. Oops. You can add on text. You see how it says animate, background color, and as well as all the different additions that you can do to each slide. There's the picture. Here's the first text that we added on. Second, another slide, just her. And then we added everything on in a slide by slide add the logo at the end, and now you've got a full reel that's 24 seconds, how we talked about meeting in between that 15 and 30-second mark. And this one went up on Instagram today and got great engagement. We added some hashtags. We added a nice caption talking about her history and kind of how this was a showstop performance for the Met Gala. She's an activist as well as a young model. Let me also go back to that East Bay Getting a Zero reel, because I think that was actually a really good one. And again, as simple as this was only 2 slides and it came out to almost a 30-second video. And what it was, we already had this content.
Are you able to do voiceovers within Canva, or do you have to do that directly on the app?
Great question. Right now, Canva does not allow voiceovers inside of the app. What we do is we record on voice memos and add it onto the video, which you can do inside of Canva with adding it on, but it does not let you record inside. This, however, was a video that we already had, so the audio was there, but there are many times that we do voiceovers that we add on a reels instead of music, just to give it that extra effect. Go ahead, Christian.
Can you do all of this through the Canva phone app, or does it have to go through the computer?
So I always suggest using the Canva phone app just to edit simple templates or update images that you already have. I would always suggest using Canva on the desktop screen, just as until you are more proficient in it. Seeing all of the capabilities on the desktop is going to be better for you than using the phone straight out.
Yeah, because sometimes, I have like 8-minute videos that I wish I could turn into 30 seconds, and it's harder to, yeah. So
exactly. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, is it better to transfer, let's say, those videos to the laptop and then just go from there?
Yes. So, sometimes I will say that I do like to trim in my phone just because I know what clips. And sometimes, like you said, there's an 8-minute video. And we want to pull 4 different clips at 4 different moments. Sometimes it's better to just pop on the couch, kind of trim them, get them to where you want them, and then send them to your computer, because the trimming on the computer can sometimes get a little wonky, but either way is fine. But always breaking it down to what you want, as well as you can do that in the Canva app. Let's say you do have an 8-minute video, you can trim them in the Canva app and it'll create different slides for you.
Cool. And then the other thing, is it better to do something like that, like a shorter video, instead of doing like an IGTV video?
I'm always pushing for Reels right now. Reels are what is boosting in the algorithm. Instagram wants you to use Reels. They are re-pushing them back in the feed 3 days later, no matter if it has hashtags or not, which is the really great thing. But one thing to keep in mind with Reels, and this literally happened to me the other day, I did a video about the California recall election. It maybe had 110 likes, 5,000 views.
Oh my God.
So for Reels, they'll push it out there. People may not be liking it, but if you look on East Bay Getting to Zero, there's some of our Reels have 20 likes, but they'll have 2,000 views. People are seeing them, and that's what the engagement is about. You want your content out there. And we all know Instagram is phasing out of likes anyway. You can hide your likes. You can kind of take all of that out of it because it's about the content nowadays. So keep that in mind. But if you are looking for those numbers, Reels are going to get you the real number of who it really has their eyes on and who the content is going to.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. I hope you guys got a chance to make some really cool content in here. I'm not sure if you guys are done. But we should probably move on just so we can save a little bit of time. Yamini is going to, after, email you all of the links that we talked about. And we're not done yet, but specifically the nonprofit link for Canva. I highly suggest everyone applies for this. On the more, I don't really see them denying any nonprofits. It's kind of their sector now because they want to help get this type of information out. So we will email you guys all of that link so you guys can try and sign up your organization and get activated with all of these amazing features that they have. Because when I tell you the brand kit is really going to help you and get you into all of those templates. So like someone said earlier, you won't be playing with squiggly lines and trying to find the right tone. It makes it a little bit more seamless, and you'll get a lot of help. You can take tutorials and meet with someone at Canva a lot easier when you have a pro account. All right, now we're gonna go back to the slides. Okay, you have heard us talk about Hey Orica all throughout this entire presentation. So the question is, how can one person handle all this? They can, but they can't. Here's how at least 1 to 2 people can man social media and kind of get the content in that you're looking for. So what we call these are scheduling apps. There's Hey Orica, Sprout Social, Buffer, and Calendly. These are all pretty much the top scheduling apps. Hey Orica is actually not a top scheduling app. It is the most user-friendly, however. Hey Orica is based in Canada. Not a lot of people know about them. They're not as popular in America, but they are truly the best one out there. I've used plenty of scheduling apps, including Sprout Social and Buffer, and nothing compares. Calendly is Black owned, so I always throw that in because why not? So these are all amazing, amazing scheduling apps that you can use. Here are the benefits of them. You can view the full month of everything you're planning. Here is East Bay Getting to Zero for August. As you see, all of our posts are scheduled out. We got them approved. These go through Nahid. We send her a link. She looks at them, says yes, says no, let's add comments. Can we make this change? And these are all important when you're running an organization because of course you don't know the right and wrongs to everything that goes out. So having those extra eyes is a lot of the hesitancy with social media. You know, a CEO or someone that is now the active president wants us to have a social media presence, but they needed to go through the comms director, but the comms director is not a social media writer. They needed to go through all of these people, but no one is actually a social media manager to know how to create the content. Hey Orica makes it included in the price, which all of these other ones do not include, where you can pick the post that you would like to send over to that person, and it can give them a view to approve, comment, and move on to the next post without any frustration at all. We use a very seamless tactic. We communicate on Slack, send them the updates for this week. They approve them, they make comments, we get them in, and we make sure they go to all platforms. And this is what I was talking about earlier with Facebook. Even though it's like, why am I posting on Facebook? What's the point of going on there? With an app like Hey Orica, you get something approved on Instagram, great. That means I know this can go to Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all of the above. What it doesn't include is YouTube, and it does not include TikTok yet. But I'm pretty sure that's soon come. When we first started with Hey Orica a few years ago, they didn't have nearly any of these features that they have now. You can also plan stories inside of Hey Orica, which is really great. You're able to pre-plan. So let's say you're working on this week, you can also start planning ahead and knowing what dates are coming up. When is National World AIDS Day? When is, you know, when are Dia de los Muertos coming up? And we need to plan something for that. Planning all of these type of events out will help you better as a social media manager, as a comms department, to make sure you're engaged and make sure you're staying on top of current events. As I mentioned before, you can get approvals from the staff, and you can post while you sleep. That 9 p.m. post that we were talking about on Twitter, you can schedule that to go out at 9 p.m. if that's the highest time. On Instagram, there are a few regulations with auto posting. Sometimes you have to manually post, like what we showed you with Sagan when it's more than one post. But if you have a single post, it can now auto publish on Instagram for you. So again, these are some things that, look at Nahid didn't know that. The old Hey Orica didn't have that. So just as Instagram is changing every day, these scheduling apps are changing every day to help you even better be a social media manager and be on top of different things. Hey Orica, like I said, is one of the best out there. Sprout Social is a lot more pricier, but they do have the level of engagement that a lot of these other apps don't. Inside Sprout Social, you can comment back to people, you can like comments, you can do a lot of that stuff in there. Personally, for us, we like to be inside of the app and actually talk directly to people, just because we're also looking through hashtags, and essentially it is our job. But for people that can't, I think Sprout Social is going to be the best way for you to see it every few days, be able to comment back and not leave out the app. Lastly, analytics is what everyone's looking for. And if I'm investing in a social media, which is not in our original budget, what's the get back that we're getting? How many followers are we getting? How many people are we reaching? All of these apps have great analytics. They will give you a week by week, month by month view of how your pages have performed, what the best posts were, and that's information that you can take back. Like, oh, okay, I can see that Tweetgrams are doing amazing. I can see that Reels are really getting a lot of the engagement. And most of the time, like we said, graphics get knocked down in the Instagram algorithm, but you'll also see that a lot of those informative graphics that you post get a lot of saves, get a lot of shares. Engagement looks different for everyone. But with Hey Orica and all of these different apps, the analytics will tell you exactly what you're looking for. So you can then go to the next level and tell people, you know, we need more money for this, or can we have this, because social media is booming for us and we just need to invest more. Go ahead, Nahid.
We had a question in the chat about Hootsuite. What was I feel like there's another one like TweetDeck. Are these helpful like for the type of organizations that we're kind of talking to in this session?
Yes. So Hootsuite is not my favorite, just logistically. That's why I didn't include it in here. But they are on the cheaper side as well as Buffer. But Hootsuite just has some, the analytics aren't that great. It's just not a favorite app. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. TweetDeck is for monitoring Twitter only. TweetDeck does not expand out to Instagram, Facebook, and all of the other components. That's solely for monitoring a hashtag. So let's say if you have, let's take the Crisis Act for an example. When the Crisis Act, we were having a Twitter push for that. We open it on TweetDeck to see people that are using the hashtag, people that are generally talking about the Crisis Act, and who are the top influencers. But that is specifically for Twitter only. It will not give you the engagement that you're looking for on all the other platforms, as well as it not being a scheduling app in general.
So basically like event or campaign focused, like if there's a specific push.
Yep, strategic, very strategic, and based. We kind of open it when it's needed, not on an everyday. Go ahead, Christian.
Last question, I swear. So I know that for Instagram, a lot of people and nonprofits are posting like 3 things on the grid that are similar, either if it's an event or an ad or a picture. Does that have an impact, or is it just like a trend thing that happens?
It's a trend. We do not use the trend just because of the algorithm. Like we told you, we always like to use the 4. We've got to have a, the graphic, the wholesome post, a video, and a reel to mix up the algorithm, because what the algorithm will do is pick up on your habits. So you post, you're kind of doing that 3 post thing. They're like, okay, here she goes again, posting three posts. We'll push those down. Those probably don't matter. And that's the crazy thing about Instagram. They're literally monitoring your account, and they're like, if there's no variety, if it's not different, they automatically see that.
And then one more question. Is it okay to do like 3 posts on the grid, maybe if they're different, but all at once, or is it better to do 1 by 1?
I would do 1 by 1. Like I said, let's say you want to get all this information out in one day. A slider is great. Sliders are always great for the algorithm, but the 8-1-5 p.m. rule. Definitely spread it out so people can catch it. Let's say if I log on around 1 p.m. and I see the middle post and I'm like, what is this? I go to the Instagram page and I see them all in a row then. And that's helpful for people to kind of get the bigger picture and to stay in the algorithm.
Thank you.
I see someone else with their hand raised. Go ahead. Sophia.
what do you suggest for teams who are trying to move away from like more infographics into using photos? I realize that it's a little more difficult to get photos of like community members since we're not having events or like any type of gatherings as frequently as we were. And so I don't want to use stock photos because sometimes that doesn't feel relatable. Is there any like advice that you may have for teams who want to move towards using less graphics?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question because we ran the 2020 election last year without being able to be in person, which is completely unheard of with trying to mix in things. So I can understand that question more. Reels, taking all of that information and making it visual. And even though you don't want to use stock footage, mixing it in with images that you may necessarily find, as well as doing voiceovers to kind of voice what you want to get out there, but just in a new way. You can also do an informative reel with all of that text, but just in a different format, make it in Canva. You can do all the words popping up and it'll put all of that into a video format. You can add a better look to it, add some music to it. That's how you spruce it up and get it out of that direction, because simply with, like you said, we're not in person and it's hard to not use stock photos or get some of that content in, but the reels are going to be the best way for you to go. And you'll have a minute. So your infographic should be able to fit into the minute of what reels can hold now.
I would also say, just in regards to diversifying content, I highly encourage organizations to tap on artists that are connected to your issue area, whether they be their own identity or the work that they focus on. Like just incorporating visual art into your page that helps to diversify the content. It's also, I feel like folks are more likely to share that type of content because the image alone is something that will resonate with people. And then you can put whatever you want to put in the caption. And it's also a way to amplify the voices of folks that are most directly impacted.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. So here's our last slide before some kind of takeaways that Sagan's going to go over. Sagan, you're on mute.
Just kidding. Things to keep in mind when creating a post. So when you're looking at the graphic that you created, just take a look and answer these questions. How does this look visually? Is it appealing to you? If you're scrolling down your timeline, would you stop to look at it? Does it catch your attention? Am I getting my message across? So whenever you're creating a graphic, you want to make sure key points are in there, always. Did I include hashtags to increase my visibility? Always make sure that, like I said, the post, if it's like a post where it's talking about a show or somebody, just always make sure like you're including the name, you're including the person, you're tagging the person. Did I tag the appropriate people or organizations to make them aware? Tagging is super important. And this is also what I do enjoy about Hey Orca is for Twitter and Facebook, they let you type in the name. So when it auto posts, it goes straight to that person. So just always making sure it's the appropriate one, because I've had times where Tasia would hit me and she's like, this isn't the right name. And I'm like freaking out. So always just make sure that you're always tagging the right organization every time, because then they'll be able to reshare it, they'll be able to repost it, and it'll just, for engagement, it'll just up that in the algorithm as well.
The last comment I want to make before we get to questions is that we do have a Hey Orca link that you can access and use Hey Orca for half off for the first 3 months if your organization is interested. So Hey Orca is $99 a month. And with this referral code that you would need to enter my name, Tasia Foster, T-E-J-A, last name Foster, you would need to add that into the who referred you section, because it will ask you, and you will receive Hey Orca for 3 months for $50 a month, just to test it out, just to try it out. I highly suggest to try and use it if you guys are open to it, just to test it out. It also has a free trial of 14 days. So you can also just look at it, see if it is for you, try it out, and then go the full 3 months. But this will give you access to that. So, and like I said, it is one of the cheaper scheduling apps instead of Sprout Social, which starts at $149 and then adds on $50 every time you add a user. So Hey Orca, you can add as many internally on your team, as many people as you want externally to approve and look over the content as well. And now, not that we haven't been taking questions, but we will take more questions if there is time permitted, and we're happy to chat with you guys. This has been great, and I'm so happy that you guys are getting information that you need.
Yes.
Cynthia, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Everything was so wonderful. I'm wondering if you all are, when you email out any resources, if it's going to be like tutorials on Canva. I feel like there was when you were putting the video in the post, and knowing me, I would like forget that by tonight. So if there was just something I can reference, would that be provided?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll send you a kind of wrap up email that will have the Hey Orca link. It will have the link to the video that Sagan did, as well as the other link we sent, Canva, the Canva nonprofit, and some resources on how to learn Canva more. So we'll send some more Canva, and if you can, do the share back, so the feedback, so we can also know how to improve it for the next time and dig deeper if this was like a preliminary one, next one of things that you would like to hear more about and what you would like to hear. But we will send you all of these links that we've been dropping in the chat to make sure that we can follow up with you guys on all of this. Yamini, you have a question?
I actually want to pose a question to the group. And that is that because we're all coming from similar organizations in a similar field with similar funding situations, that we all think about what makes most sense as we do this work, knowing that we are mostly overworked individuals, mostly don't have the luxury of communications teams or, hiring consultants to do all this kind of stuff. What does it look like for us to advocate to set aside time within our schedules to do this type of work, to create this content? We're always being asked to have engagement, but not given the time to actually create the content that would bring that engagement. So what does it look like to think about that? What does it also look like to look for funding that does not come with strings attached around pushing our brand and creating our brand, which we now know, especially with the pandemic, is essential to doing this work. So as we think about how we function and move in our organizations, how do we put this type of work importantly in the front?
That's a great question. I know Nahid's going to want to jump in on this too. But first and foremost, 2020 showed us anything that we can live digitally. And I think it's important to show that person, whoever's having the funds or holds the funds, what organizations are doing around you for their digital presence that we should be emulating. A lot of our organizations do so much great work, but it's not getting out there. People do not know. There's foundations that give thousands of dollars in grants, but no one's understanding what that translates to and what all of these funds are going to. And there needs to be a way for us to show what we're doing. And even if you are a grantee, of being able to show your funders what type of work you're doing and that you're building a community off the funds that you're getting, which I do think is most important. The great thing about social media too, not going at it as aggressively as my agency does, but you can call us, but you can also hire an intern. A social media intern will get you guys a really long way. Hiring someone also young, because I know I get a lot of people that are like, I don't even have an Instagram. I don't know. You keep talking about algorithms, and that is like, second world to me. So having a young person that is fluent in a lot of these apps and understands this without needing it to be explained, but just more of the social justice tie, because you'll find a lot of young people that know social media. And what's great about what my agency does specifically is that we know social justice. Which is always, not what everybody with social media skills has, but you can teach someone how to start getting into more of the advocacy, or you could teach someone that is young that has more of the social justice background, but just a little bit of social media experience. But overall, more than 80% of young people have social media experience. And if they're coming to your organization, they are probably in some way digitally savvy. So thinking about it on a scale of let's come at it a little bit just so we can have a sort of digital presence, to all the way saying, you know, we're getting all of this money, we're doing all of these things, but we're not letting people know that we're here. Nahi, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, the main thing that I just want to add is that when we think about social media, and we're all like, we've already kind of jumped into all of the different strategies and the ways to use it. We also want to take the step back before we fully dive into developing a strategy and figuring out what is our actual purpose in this, who is our target audience, and what is our main strategy? Are we looking to tell the stories of our organization or of our clients? Are we looking to promote or market our services? Or are we looking to actually facilitate programs and services through social media, which is a lot of what happened like early on in the pandemic, where folks were actually running programs on social media platforms, whether there be like Q&As with doctors or actual like club meetings. I know that the Rise Youth Center in Richmond did a bunch of different programs online on like IG Live last year. But I think that those are the main pieces, and that's also how you're going to help to incorporate what your social media strategy is into your funding process. So if you're actually looking to facilitate programs, then social media becomes a programming tool. And that's what you can kind of help to support your development team in tying that in. If it's marketing, if it's storytelling, that's when you get less into like your target audience being your actual clients or your key stakeholders, but it could also be your funders. Like, who are you looking to amplify your stories to? Are you looking to amplify to other organizations, maybe organizations that are doing similar work in different states or counties? Or are you looking to kind of just have a place where you're documenting the stories or success moments from your services, your organization, or your specific community? So once you determine what your target audience is and what you're really looking to amplify or use this platform for, that's when you can determine where the funding needs to come from, or like where the funding can target. And I think that right now, especially in California, a lot of organizations have been pushing on funders to help to kind of expand their thinking around what organizations need to be able to continue the work forward during the pandemic, but also beyond. And I think we also have to kind of start internally understanding what it actually takes to make a successful social media platform. And I hope that this today's session was a great kind of entry point for you to be able to understand what's possible with a small team, but also where you can go when you really do invest the time and also resources.
Awesome. If there isn't any more questions, I think we can call this done. I'm sorry, went a little bit over time, and I feel like we were all engaging, and I'm so happy that you guys all stayed on for the long haul. I hope this information was really useful for you guys, and please feel free to email if you have any further questions, and we'll be sure to send the slides out as well as some links to get everything that you guys need and set up.